Good afternoon. That was a very interesting session, and digital is becoming bigger and bigger in India. Just to give you an idea, digital spends are only 2.5% of the overall advertising spend. So unlike UK where they're 26% or US where they're above 15%, we are still very nascent stage. But I was reading your profile and I realized that you know 7 languages.
No, I have spoken several languages in my life, but I don't remember Chinese because I have lived in China, and
Right.
you have to practice to remember.
Right. So now that you look after emerging markets in India is a big part of it. When are you going to learn Hindi or Tamil? Srini is there and he's a Tamilian. If you really want to get intimate with him, you'll have to learn Tamil.
I'm gonna come very soon, very often in India because it's a key market for us. If we have decided to organize our structure with dynamic markets and emerging markets, it's because we consider that the future of the company comes from emerging markets, and India is a key of those.
Right. It was interesting what you were saying. By the way, I did meet Jean-Marc Claddam 7 years back in Café de Paris in Monaco on one of my first visit to Cannes. So I have a photograph with him. And second, in India, we don't have that many dogs, but we have wives and husbands. They control your life, so you really don't need. Most people don't have dogs. Now, you're talking of a transition where brands are transitioning from real to virtual. And you're talking of individuals as brands and the idea of instant gratification. The last idea is the idea about instant gratification. And you're talking about me as the brand. And basically what you're saying is the digital world and the real world are mashed up. How do brands survive in the mashed up, paid, owned, earned phenomena? But really, in a country, I know you've been in India only 3 hours or 4 hours now. So, and I know that she tells me a surprise that Delhi has wide roads. I think what you'll be surprised that there are a lot of product categories, a lot of brands where you cannot use digital. Because the consumers today are not at a stage where they'll probably respond to a Foursquare or a Twitter or a Facebook because really they aren't utilizing those mediums. So what do you have advice for such brands? Should they invest early in digital or they should continue to look at mass media in a big manner?
I'm not telling that the advertisers, especially the advertisers in FMCG, have to do the migration of 100% of their investment from television towards the digital media. But what is true is that today, if I'm not wrong, you have 100 million people who are connected to the internet. We are speaking about 8% of the population, which is twice the size of the connected people in France, for instance. So it's a huge amount of people. And of course, the technology today allows you not to say, let's do digital on-site on television. You can do digital with television. So this is, according to me, when I speak to my advertisers doing video online, for instance, video online is nothing else than a film, an advertising, a commercial on a laptop screen.
Sure.
So sometimes the words, make us think that, okay, we are entering in the digital world, but everything is becoming digital.
Sure.
Even television, when all the television will be connected, you'll be able to have access to the internet through your television.
Sure.
And if you want, especially for the youth, because in India, 75% of the internet users are under 34 years old. And we know that everywhere in the world, the young population doesn't watch that much television compared to other people. And if you want to keep them in front of their TV set, just imagine experiences with interaction with the program, even using other devices in order to have them in front of their television.
So if unified communication is going to drive an individual's life and hence a brand's life, do you think agencies globally, and especially in India, are ready to in some way exploit unified communication?
You speak about advertisers? Or you speak about the consumer?
About the agency.
You know, the consumer will do it.
Right.
But the consumer, if you have I don't know if you have X Factor here in this country, but the consumer is tweeting, the consumer is sending SMS, and if he's watching such program to choose the best singer or I don't know what, you know, it's just because he had another device and it's because he is interacting. So it means that, you know, the consumer will do it. The consumer, when he buys a product, he wants to know if the company is ethical and is going to have the information. Because if I have Samsung we have Samsung in our portfolio. When you have a commercial in prime time of Samsung, the requests on the internet are triple the number of before the commercial. So the consumer will have access not only on the product linked to the commercial if seen on television, but he will have access of many information regarding the Samsung and company as well, not only the products. So everything is written, everything is said on the social media, everything is said regarding the reputation will have, step by step, an impact on the commercial aspects.
You're saying in some categories, a lot of people will seek information digitally and then probably go out and make a purchase either offline or in some categories do it online. Is that what you are saying?
Do you think that, I think all the people in the room have traveled abroad. I think that no one has chosen his country without using the internet. So it's true for traveling, it's true from choosing his car, it's true from many aspects of our common life, right. And it's become true as well for food business.
Absolutely. You know, you showed the second example that you showed. That was in some way reality television coming to advertising, right? Yeah. And crowdsourcing. You know, today about 12% of ideas that are actually used in advertising and branding and marketing are coming from crowdsourcing. Do you see that getting accentuated, or do you see crowdsourcing as a fad, as something that will pass away?
No, I think it will continue. What is true is that, you know, at the beginning of the creation on the internet, you had the creativity was not that strong, and now you have strong professionals who are entering this world to create really consistent and meaningful piece of creation. So I think on the internet you see so many advertisers who were creative, who were working on traditional media, who are entering this world today.
Sure. And do you see clients being, you know, our clients are resorting to crowdsourcing because they get better ideas and their agencies have stopped giving them ideas, or they believe that along with the agency they can partner to get better ideas? How are they approaching? How are the clients approaching? Because in India crowdsourcing is still really non-existent or minimal.
You know, I think that sometimes you have some individual who is a genius, and this genius has created a fantastic video on YouTube, for instance. I don't know if you have seen this video. I think 100 million people have seen the video of a guy who is just laughing, watching a mountain, and it lasts something like 4 minutes. Nothing happens. You have just the landscape and you have the voice of the guy who is laughing. And you have had 100 million people who have seen this video, which is very funny. But I think that you have areas where co-creation, just like Wikipedia, for instance, where co-creation happens. But what is true is that the consumer is asking the creative to be much more consistent, to have more impact, and to make them live experience in particular, and they want the creative to entertain them. What is true is that the creation on television is not the same as the creation on the internet. It cannot be the same, because on television you accept to see 12 times the same commercial. On the internet, after the second time or third time, you're tired. So you have to adapt the creation, you have to adapt the format, and it's exactly the same on the smartphones. So every device has to get its own content, even if the device are linked together technologically.
Sure. Now, let me ask you a question that has been haunting me. In November 2009, David Klein of Ad Age was here, and Sam did a session with him, and David Klein said that, advertising and marketing is now rocket science. It's about data, it's about technology, it's about data mining. It's no longer just about a great idea and a great campaign. So, considering that, do you think agencies and groups like yours are prepared to, today clients are going to a McKinsey, they're going to an Accenture, they're going to a Ernst & Young, they're going to a Monitor, they're going to, depending on which part of the world you are in, to specialist advisors, if I may use the word, to get ideas to improve the business. You have BlackBerry as a client. BlackBerry across the world is facing an issue. Now, do you think agencies will come up with an idea that will change their business or help them in their business?
When you go to the creative festival, for instance, in the past, 95% of the creation of the content were coming from creative agencies. And now when you have content festival, you see that half of the content who receive awards are coming from media agencies. So things are changing, especially because the media agencies have been faster to the digital world.
Right.
They go further in the digital world, and they built their big ideas from insight,
right,
from datas, because the advertisers want today more than ever to have the big ideas totally linked to the DNA of the brands, and to have the well-conscious knowledge of the DNA of the brands, you have to get access to the data. And who better than I am in a media agency, but who in media agencies, we are monitoring data permanently.
Sure.
So the big idea is the result of a strategic process and not only from intuitive process.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that you don't have to sometimes you have genius who have fantastic ideas, but the advertisers are expecting from us to have this process to deliver them consistent, meaningful solutions.
Sure. Now, we'll take some questions from the audience, but we can go on about the business of media, advertising, communication, and the examples from Foursquare and Social Cloud and crowdsourcing. But I know you've spent only 4 hours in India, but any predictions for India in terms of the advertising communication landscape? Any, from whatever your interaction with Srini and your team, and you have a fantastic team here. Any predictions because you worked in emerging markets in other countries, which probably were at the same stage of evolution as India. So
I think the emerging market has something particular. I think, sometimes I say everything analog is becoming digital, and everything digital is becoming mobile. What we are going to experience, according to me, in India, is that most of the population will not go through laptop to connect to the internet. And the percentage of owners of mobile phone here, which is over 70%, I guess, most of the connection to the internet will go through the mobile phones. So this is something different from what we have experienced in what we call the dynamic market or Western markets, where we have had laptop before having smartphone.
Sure.
So I'm sure that, and the